Alright, so today's video is going to be about ganking. Just like the last video, I have a clip from a game just running in the background. Again, pay attention to it, don't pay attention to it, whatever you'd like. I tried to pick one where I actually ganked a fair amount, but, you know, it may not be the best example. But anyway, so going ahead with it, ganking is one of the hardest things to actually teach, because ganking really comes with experience. There's not really any way to say, okay, there's going to be a good gank here this time. Whenever this happens, do a gank this place, and you'll be guaranteed something, because ganks are never guaranteed. Like farming, you're guaranteed farm, unless the enemy's counter jungle. But ganking, you're never guaranteed anything. It depends on how well you play it, how well your team plays it, and how well the enemy team plays it. So, I mean, there's a bunch of different factors that will determine if you actually even get a successful gank or not. So, there are a few different things to be considering when you're ganking. So the main thing, what you'll want to be doing even in the loading screen, is thinking, okay, which of my lanes can I gank for? The lanes that are easiest to gank for are the lanes that have some form of CC of their own. So like in this matchup, Poppy would be a pretty easy lane to gank because she has that stun. Fizz wouldn't really, because he just has he doesn't really have any CC until his level 6. And then you have Alistar Lucian. They do have that Alistar combo, which does have a bit of CC, and you would be able to do a bit with. So those would be the easiest lanes to gank. I'm not saying only gank those lanes. I'm not saying never gank the Fizz lane because he doesn't have any CC. It does depend, like, you sometimes have some junglers that have CC built into their kits. So, you know, you can gank with those junglers to any lane pretty much whenever. So there are a few ways when you do want to definitely gank or try to gank. So the main way is that you'll see is when the enemy is overextended. So if they're pushed clear, like, okay, so if you look where Poppy is, she's way deep into our jungle. And as I'm saying this, here comes an Udyr, because she's way far extended. She's definitely a bit far extended. So with that, if she didn't have any vision, Udyr would just be able to walk behind her, which makes the gank super easy. So yeah, so that would make a gank super easy. That's why you'd want to keep up your wards if you're pushing into the enemy's territory, just to make sure that you aren't gonna get, you know, ganked, destroyed. The other way, another good way would be when the enemy laner is low. So you can either use that to force them to back and miss CS, or you can possibly get killed because they're so low and in lane. You know, there are those two things that actually both ways are successful ganks. Just because you don't get a summoner, just because you don't get a kill, doesn't mean that your gank wasn't successful. Making the enemy back, lose CS, lose pressure, that's very good as well. Which brings me to the next one, where you can gank to just create pressure for your lanes. A lot of the times, if the enemy is pushed up and they're freezing the lane, well, so if the enemy is really, really destroying, or they're freezing the lane, you definitely want to help that laner because they won't be able to do anything much, so you may just want to show up. You don't even have to actually fight, just as long as you show up, kind of give the enemy laner that sense of, okay, yeah, there is a jungler here, I do want to watch out. Maybe not play so confident, which relieves pressure on your laner and helps you to actually helps your laner have an easier go of it. Alright, so those are a few there. Another way that you would want to gank is what's called a counter gank. So if you see an award that the enemy jungler is going to be ganking a lane, if you can get to that lane and instead of making it a 3v2 in the enemy's favor, you can make it a 3v3 and you can win the 3v3, or you just you unexpectedly turn the tides there. Like, they don't expect you to be there, so you surprise them and you can beat them with the element of surprise sometimes, so that's good as well. It's that counter ganking. That's why it's always good to keep wards deeper in the enemy jungle if you can. If you ever do any invades, then just anyway, so yeah, if you ever do any invades and you have a ward up, you usually do want to leave a ward in the enemy jungle. Just keep vision of the enemy jungler. It helps keep your lane safe, so that they know when they can play aggressive and when they have to kind of back off a bit there. So like you'll see I place a ward here. It will help me know when Udyr's over there, so I can either create something top lane or go, surprise him bot lane when he wasn't expecting to be there. See, so another thing would be for those junglers that have the really, really high impact ultimates. So that would be someone like Vi, Warwick, Nocturne, Amumu. If you have your ultimate up and it's one of those that's like game changing, you will usually want to use your ultimate. You will want to gank like on cooldown. Rengar's also another good example because it's so high impact. Like, if you use your ultimate, it's almost guaranteed to burn summoners or get a kill. Which is cool. Sunday boys. So yeah, that's the other way. I'm sorry, I'm just watching my game while I'm commentating. Shouldn't, but I am, so who cares? But yeah, basically, yeah, so those are basically the ways when you want to gank. Like I said, it's all experience. As you are clearing your jungle camps, you want to be looking around, seeing what you can gank, what your lanes are looking like, which lanes need help, which lanes are winning, which lanes may need you to put a bit of vision down for them. That's basically your job, is to I mean, it's kind of your job, but it's not, is to help your laners if they need help. You don't have to actually gank for anyone. It just makes your laner's lives easier, the enemy laner's life harder. And usually that early game snowball can help a lot. Of course, you do have those people like Master Yi or those late game devourer junglers that they don't have to gank and they still have a huge impact on the game. Let's see, other ganking. I don't know if you know it's here. Just going over I think that's pretty much it. Um, yeah, basically just watch the lanes, kind of have a line drawn in your head of who's where and who can do what and when. Because yeah, if you can, die here, don't die. I don't. Okay. Yeah, because if you can change the game, change the flow of the game by ganking, you will be a good jungler there. Because yeah, just those ganks are pretty high impactful. You don't have to. You don't have to always. Okay. Yeah, you don't have to always gank. Have to always not gank. It's just going to be something that you'll get with experience. Like, how long should I sit in this bush waiting for the enemy to engage on me before I realize they have a horde, or before they actually grow, before they, you know, kind of let their guard down and die. Um, yeah, it's all really a matter of experience there. So yeah, that's ganking. I recommend watching recommend watching junglers to kind of see what they do, how they gank, what kind of gank pass they do, when they gank, why they gank, stuff like that. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna cut this clip off before I die, and yeah, that's it for ganking there.